Hi everybody and welcome back. Today we are going to complete the interior of our City Slicker tote. In the last episode I showed you how to design and craft the exterior of the tote, which looks like this. And in this video we are going to make the interior. I have a little sketch here so you can see where we're going with this. And for the inside of this bag, I want to incorporate two tall, narrow slip pockets, one shallow slip pocket, and then two deeper slip pockets. And then on the sides of the interior, I want one more slip pocket and an elasticized pocket that'll give me a little extra leeway in case I'm going to carry some extra waters with me. And then the one defining feature that I would like to incorporate to the interior is a padded divider, because I often carry my camera with me when we go into the city, but I usually don't want to carry two bags, so I leave my nice camera bag at home and then put the camera inside of my purse, but I never really feel like it's protected. So I want to make a really nice insert with this 1-inch new foam, which is what I use to line my camera bags, and then this way I can either put that on the bottom of the bag and set the camera directly in, or I can wrap it around the camera. So let's get started. I'll post all of the measurements on the blog Sewspire.com. I'll zoom in here so you can see them as well. There we go. And then I'm going to go over the measurements as we use them as well. Okay, so we're going to start with the bigger pockets, and I have two panels which measure 12 inches wide by 18 inches long. And to create these interior pockets, I'm going to have you fold over a lip on the top and the bottom of this pocket, and that's going to give us this little ridge here, and we're going to stitch right across the top there. So that is going to come down just a smidge below, and then I'm going to stitch across there, and I'm going to do that with both pocket panels. You'll notice on this one I have a tiny bit of selvage on the end. This is the last little bit of this Dear Stella fabric that I had, and I desperately want it for my pockets on the interior of this bag, so I'm going to hide that selvage in the seam allowance in case you saw that and were wondering what I was doing with that. So let's head on over to the machine and stitch up these bigger pockets. And I'm just stitching right along the edge of that lower lip. And I do use a reverse stitch at the beginning and the end. Looking like there. A little extra thread. Alright, now you can come along for added detail and add one more row of stitching. And that just really gives it a professional look, in my opinion. That second row of stitching doesn't really serve any function. It just looks great. So I'm going to do that for the other pocket. 2 bigger interior pockets ready. So we want to take the body panels, which measure 12 inches wide by 15 inches high, and we're going to position those pockets on top of that body panel. And I'm going to align the top edge approximately 4 inches. Let's move that down. So the top edge of the pocket approximately 4 inches from the top edge of the body panel. Just move that out. And for this one, I want to divide the pocket directly down the center. So the easiest way to ensure that straight line is to fold that in half and then just crease that fabric with your fingernail. And then I'll put in a pin on each side, and I'll go ahead and stitch straight down there. And I want to get the second body panel ready so I can stitch them both at the same time. And this one I'm going to divide into thirds, so I'll do the same thing and position the top of the pocket 4 inches from the top of the body panel. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I think that this first pocket division is going to come in about 4 inches from the edge. And these are going to be tall, narrow pockets, great for the sunglasses, great for pens, pencils. This would make a beautiful artist's tote as well. You could fit your sketch pad and your watercolor pencils in here. So I have those 2 divisions here, and then I want one more that creates a shallow pocket here, so I can put lip gloss in that, perhaps even my car keys. So I'm going to just divide that like that, and then you can see I have these lines creased in there, or I hope you can see it. It's definitely evident to me, and I'll be able to stitch on those lines. I'm going to head over to the machine and divide these pockets. After I divide the pockets into thirds, I want to make sure that I stitch along the base of that pocket. Otherwise, you're just going to have a hole in the pocket, right? And then I'm going to install that little stitch line across the top to divide that center pocket into thirds. That didn't make much sense. I already divided the pocket into thirds. Now I'm going to divide the center pocket into half. In half. Whew! All right. Let me show you what this pocket looks like here. Okay, so I have my 2 tall, narrow pockets and my 1 shallow pocket here. And then on this pocket, I'm going to divide it down the center and stitch it across the base. want to next prepare the pockets along the side panels. So the side panels measure, there are 2 of them, and they measure 6 inches wide. So 6 inches wide by 15 inches tall. I have 2 of those. And then I have 2 pockets for the side panels, one of which, when you cut it, is going to measure 22 inches long. No, excuse me, 18 inches. 18 inches long by 6 inches wide. And you're going to take that piece and fold it in half. And then just like the exterior pockets, once it's folded, move these so you can only focus on this. Once you've folded it in half, then take that top edge, top finish edge, and fold it over just to create a little lip there. And this is gonna fashion one of the interior side pockets. So I'm gonna stitch across that lip to hold it down. That gives us a nice 4-layer lip to add some rigidity to the top of that pocket. Alright, now I want to incorporate this slip pocket onto the base, or the side rather. So I'm going to just align the base of this pocket, the raw edges of that pocket, with the base of the side panel. And I'm going to pin that in place. And that prepares one side panel pocket. Now for the second side panel pocket, I want to incorporate some elastic in the top of that. So that's a little bit wider. It's the same 18 inches in length, but then we're going to do 8 inches wide so we can gather it a little bit. And to create a gusset here that we're going to thread the elastic through, I'm going to stitch 3/4 of an inch from the top fold of that, and then we're going to thread some elastic through there so it gathers up. We've got a nice gusset there that we're going to thread some elastic through after we get this positioned on the side panel. So here's your remaining side panel, which measures 6 inches wide by 15 inches tall. And you're going to place, I'm going to do this backwards so you can see. You're going to place that, or upside down rather, it's backwards to me. You're going to place the raw edge of your pocket on the base of your base panel, alright? And then center that on the panel so there's an equal distance of overhang there. And I like to fold the pocket in half so I can tell where center is. So I'm right there on the 3-inch mark. And I know that's the center. I'm going to put a pin in there, and then I'm going to bring these edges to align with the edge of this base panel, and I'm going to put a pin in there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and what I'm doing is creating this pleat in the middle there, and then I take out that center pin and I just fashion this pocket pleat. even as I can. And I'm going to put pins in there and hold that down and then stitch across the base of that to hold that pleat. I gotta turn this around to thread the elastic. I'm gonna put one more set of pins on either side just to hold that. Okay, so now you can see how the pocket's starting to pucker up, and it's gonna give you that fullness that you'll need to have extra cargo space or to put a water bottle in there. So I am just using a 1/4 inch knit elastic. I have a 6-inch piece. It's this exact same width as the side panel. And I'm going to use a bobby pin, not bobby pin, that'd be a trick, a safety pin. I'm going to put that in the end of the elastic, and I'm just going to thread it through that gusset using my thumb to pull it forward. Now I'm going to keep an eye on the tail, so don't pull that all the way through. If you do, it's not a big deal really, you just have to start over. So once I get close to that end, I'm going to hold that tail, and then I want to put another pin in there so I can stitch that elastic back and forth a couple times and really reinforce that, because that's going to be a stress point. You have the stress of the items going in and out of the pocket, and then the pull of the elastic. So go over that a couple times. So now when we go back to the sewing machine deck here, I'm going to need to stitch down the pleat at the bottom and secure the elastic on both sides. And you'll have to, when you take out that pin, you'll need to hold that elastic with your finger so it doesn't get away from you. And on the other side, we're doing the same thing. Taking out that pin and just holding it with my finger. Take out all of those pins, and then I can show you how this pocket functions. So you can spread out the fabric along there, and now we have a nice elasticized pocket that's going to give a lot of extra give there. Alright, so the last thing that we have to do for the interior is assemble it, and it's going to come together in the same fashion that the exterior did. We're going to attach the 2 side panels to one of the body panels, and then we're going to attach the base to the other body panel. So I'm just going to take this elasticized pocket and position that right sides together with one of the pocket panels, and I'm going to pin that at the top and the bottom. And then I have one other pocket panel here that has my slip pocket on it, which I'm going to position that right sides facing. So both of the sides are on top of one of the body panels. I'll put 2 pins in there, and I'm going to stitch down each side using a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, I believe. I'll double check that though over there for you. No, it is more like 3/8. Okay, so we're using a 3/8 seam allowance. see that our sides have been attached to the body panel. So we have 2 pockets up here and 2 side pockets. We'll set that over here, and we will attach the base, which measures 6 inches tall by 12 inches wide. Here. We're going to attach the base to the base of the remaining body panel, and I am aligning the bottoms and going to stitch straight down there. Base attached to that remaining body panel, and now we're going to create the same T shape that we created before. Just want to grab this little thread by laying that panel with the base on it on top of the panel with the pockets and aligning the other end of the base with the base of the side panel. It'll make more sense after I hold that up, but you may remember from the exterior how we created this big T. So I'm going to stitch just along the base. Essentially have a big T here, and what we need to do now is take these side panels and align them with this other side. And just aligning the top and the bottom as best I can there. Making sure I pin down that pocket so it doesn't slip out. And then I will stitch from the top to the bottom, but I want to secure the other side so I can stitch them both at the same time. Same thing, I'm going to stitch all the way down that side. Looking over to do the other side, which we pre-pinned. double check just to be sure. Things look good in there. The only thing we have to do now for the interior is seal up these holes in the bottom here. So you're just going to align the base of the side panel and the side of the base panel and stitch all the way across to seal that up. You're going to need to do that on both sides. And you're just going from your side seam to your other side seam. Repeat that with the other one. Take out all of the pins and turn this right side out so you can see what the interior looks like. This is a great time to catch all those little threads. It's easier to do it now where you haven't turned right side out than when you put it in the bag. Okay. So we have the interior compartment completed, and there are 2 slip pockets like we planned for, an elasticized side pocket, 2 very narrow tall pockets, and 1 very shallow center pocket, and then 1 side slip pocket. And this we will turn back around and insert into the exterior in the next video. I have one last thing I want to show you, and that's the padded insert, which measures 22 inches long by 6 inches wide, and you just fold that in half, and you're going to stitch down both sides and leave the short end open. You've made basically a little pillowcase. So just turn that right side out. And I have a piece of new foam which measures 4.5 inches wide by 10 inches tall. And I'm going to insert that inside of here. Tuck it in, and I want to fold these raw edges inward, and you can stitch right through this new foam. So as long as you can get those raw edges in there, don't worry about stitching right through the foam. You just want to seal that up and stitch right across the top. wanted this really nice, thick, padded divider that'll fit perfectly in the base of the bag, or I'm going to be able to wrap it around my camera equipment. So I wish we had some more time today so I could fit that interior in, but I do have to run. It was a pleasure sewing with you. If this is your first time joining us, you'll want to back up one video so that you can create the exterior of your city slicker tote. And next week's episode, we're going to put the interior, fit the interior into the exterior. We're going to create a zipper top and our handles. So we'll see you then. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for sewing with me. It was an absolute pleasure.